Hi, and you're back on the final day of InfoComm 2016 with Rave TV. I'm Joel, and I'm sitting here with Marcel Graf, who is Director of Business Development for InteractiveScape in Berlin. Welcome to the show, and welcome to the country. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for being here.
How's the show been for you?
Very exciting. We got a great feedback. First 2 days, today was very, very quiet.
Yeah, and getting quieter as the day winds up, and
Yes.
you see people with their suitcases headed for the doors.
Better don't tell anybody that you're a customer, because otherwise everybody will just jump on you.
Yeah. Okay, I won't tell anyone. I'm going to hide in here in our studio. Tell us a little about InteractiveScape.
InteractiveScape actually started making big multi-touch tables like 8 years ago. And back then, they detected fingers, and one of the first projects was actually for Deutsche Telekom, like a prototype to explain the iPhone to the salespeople. So they had like a huge iPhone to play around to understand what pinch and zoom is and stuff like that.
Oh, that's great. That was so you actually had to emulate the iPhone software?
Exactly, with a totally different technology. It was like infrared-based optical systems, really unreliable. But back then it was just so futuristic and everybody loved it.
Sure. Tell us the kind of projects that you work on now.
Well, now the market evolved quite a lot. The software, we are now relying on capacitive touch or on in-glass technology. That's a very reliable thing, as like on your phone the touch is very precise, and suddenly new applications are possible because more and more people can use it because it's so much more reliable. And one of the key things we're working on is object recognition on those.
I noticed that. I took a brief look at your website. And tell us about the object recognition thing, because that's fascinating to me.
Well, the object recognition actually exists for a long time now, but technically the hardware was not reliable and overly expensive. Now, object recognition works in all light conditions with our technology. And the nice thing is there are two kinds of businesses who want to use it. Like the one is companies who have like an engineering background, who want to show something real, but who cannot take their big truck they're selling to the booth, but they're building like miniature trucks. And then you take the truck, like you can feel it, touch it, have a look at it, and you put it on the surface, and boom, the information is there, all the digital assets you need. And it's not like swiping through a menu and figuring out how it works. The other client who loves this kind of application are companies with intangible products, like banks. Like after sales is not tangible. But if you take one of those objects and write after sales on it, suddenly it's an object, it has a weight, it's a tangible, and you put it there and the information is there, so people understand much better, and you have like 5 objects there and people understand, oh, there are 5 objects. This means you must have 5 offerings, 5 services, 5 portfolios, or something like this.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I can certainly understand how adding tangibility to something intangible would make that demonstration easier. How do you work? Do you work with other dealers? Do you work with manufacturers? What?
Mm-hmm. Well, right now we're about to launch next year the latest version. I don't want to bore you with this, but to get the market excited and show that object recognition works, we're working primarily with manufacturers together, like 3M or FlatFrog, who give us a great exposure. We also work together with distribution partners just to send out the message, and we're starting like key products, rolling out the pre-product to the market, and so it gets known that this is possible. And so at some point the creative people, well, it takes like up to a year until from seeing it to implementing it or starting to implement it. So I'm really looking forward that some creative people get hands of our object recognition and do great stuff.
What are you here at the show looking for?
Here at the show I was looking for distribution partners for the US, and just making friends with my manufacturers, with FlatFrog and 3M. They were very happy to show tangible object recognition on their booth. And the other thing, I just happened to realize, like old legacy hardware, which is the one unreliable I talked with you about, there's still a lot of universities and companies using this because they have to. There's no other choice for object recognition. and they learned about our solution and how they can just easily port it one-to-one within minutes, and they were overly excited and they want to replace their entire stock of this obsolete.
If one of the, I mean, our audience mostly are dealers and integrators, for this show largely in the United States, but worldwide. If someone were looking for, we're interested in that kind of a technology, how, do they call you and say, let's work together on a project? Is that how it works?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are different levels of, like, we also do software.
Right.
But the object recognition we want to bring to the world, also to our competitors, because we not only think in the market size as of right now, we think now as it is working, you can expand the market. And here we're looking for, like, if you're having an agency who can do multi-touch applications with object recognition, tell them that now object recognition simply works in all light environments, is 4K, is plug and play, easy to set up, works with a standard 2-year protocol, and there you go. Of course, you can call us, and we are more than happy to provide you one of our templates. You can easily fill in with your content via your content management system, things like this. Or we can give you advice, like who we think is a good partner where you are, and we just deliver the hardware. Yes.
And how would they reach you?
Well, they go to our website.
Right, which is interactive-scape.com.
Exactly.
Okay, and I, by the way, take a look at the website because I found it fascinating. And looking at the object recognition thing, I could think of half a dozen projects that it would be great for. I mean, especially, will it recognize multiple objects at one time?
Yes, currently it detects up to 10 different objects. So at the demo here at the Flatfrog booth, we had like different cars, like a Ferrari, like a Thunderbird, and you put it on the table and it detected which car it is which car. And you can, of course, put like several more cars, like the same car on the screen as well, but at some point the space is crowded.
Sure, but I'm actually just thinking about, could it be used for testing?
Yes, definitely.
I mean, that would be an interesting application. I can actually think of one right now where we would have a test, for instance, for technical students to choose the correct part for a job.
Exactly.
Right, that kind of thing. That would be really interesting. So take a look at interactive-scape.com. Some fascinating technology out there. Marcel, anything you want to add about the company?
It's a fun company to work with. They're very German.
That's a very important point.
They're very serious, but they're fun nonetheless.
Serious and fun is what this industry really needs. And thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.